Well, my name is Gabriela Anders. I'm a singer, I'm a musician, I'm a singer, I'm a writer, I'm an arranger, and the style of music that I do is Latin jazz.
With sexy brown skin, melting eyes, time keeps passing, no one cares. Life for living is the thing that be yourself, be free.
All right. So, and just to kind of get right into it, kind of tell us what we're here today. I know you got a big show coming up here in Atlanta. Kind of tell us a little bit about that show.
Well, the show that I'm doing in Atlanta, I'm very happy that I'm going to Atlanta because it's a place that I've gone twice or three times before to perform, and Atlanta has some kind of energy that I really, really love, and I was dying to go back there, and I'm very happy that it's finally happening, and we're doing, you know, my first CD when I started my career here in the States. My first CD was called Wanting, and so I'm going to do some music from that first CD with some stuff that I'm doing now. So it's going to be a mixture of things, but mostly it's going to be a little bit of a tribute to that album, you know, Wanting.
Oh, cool. So just to kind of let the viewers know, the show is that's going to be a Saturday, May the 11th.
Yes.
Part of Marietta Jazz and Jokes, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Now, have you performed with Marietta Jazz and Jokes before?
No, not yet. No. So I'm excited, very excited.
It's a real cool space, like a loft.
I heard that it's really nice.
Very nice. Yeah, you'll fit right in that.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Great.
Nice and artsy.
Nice, great. I mean, I'm kind of excited because all the growth that happened throughout these years as a musician, I'm gonna present the songs, but with all the new, you know, all the life that happened, all the new music that happened inside, all that being present. So it's gonna be like, you know, when my first CD came out, I was very young, and now it's going to be a more mature presentation of the music, and I'm kind of excited to see how people like it, you know, if they like it. And so I'm very happy that this is happening. Yeah.
Now, what would you go back, now that you're kind of a more seasoned artist, what would you go back and tell your younger self about your first CD experience? What they pitfalls, maybe the kind of things to be aware of?
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of overwhelming to me that when I signed, you know, I was signed to Warner Jazz, and a lot of the people that I admired growing up, you know, my father is a jazz musician, so I grew up listening to a lot of jazz. So all of a sudden, I was, you know, in this roster with people, roster, you say, right? Roster, you know,
Roster.
Roster with all these artists that were people that I had admired for so long, and my father admired too, and I was like, whoa, you know. And so I was a little bit kind of very nervous, you know, and even when I met George Duke, that my dad loved, you know, I was you know, we were recording, I went to his studio and we were playing the songs. He's like, you know, can you play this song? I played a little bit on the piano. He's like, can you play it again? I like it, I love it. I was like, oh, is this happening to me, you know? And so it was a very you know, I had a lot of these people that were so important in shaping me as a musician, were so supportive, and I think that really was something that helped me grow and helped me be more confident. But I wasn't a lot at the beginning because I was very, you know, I was like, oh my gosh, and very nervous. I wanted to do a good job. I didn't want, you know, George to think that, you know, I don't know, I just wanted to impress him, you know. So that, if I was to talk to a younger me, I would say, calm down, chill out.
And kind of give us a little background on how you guys end up collaborating, working together.
Well, I was signed to Warner Jazz, and he was also signed to Warner Jazz, and I I sent my music kind of to someone in there, like kind of blank, and somehow they heard it, they liked it, and then when they decided to sign me, they actually asked George Duke, do you like what she does? And George, someone told me later that George said, if you don't sign her, I'll sign her. So that was kind of like very nice of me, my ego, And so then I would record it. He was one of the producers that was part of the CD. And then we did a lot of the, like tour. We went to Montreux, the Montreux Jazz Festival. Then they did a video of the music. And so I had a very, it was, I played with his band quite sometimes, and it was really, really good, really, really a learning and a great experience, So that's a little bit my experience with George. George was also an incredible person, very, very generous, very, very special human being,
Yeah. Now, what do you think something that you kind of took from that relationship that allowed you to grow as a musician?
I grew up, even though I grew up listening to, my father only let us listen to jazz. There was nothing else that we could hear. So I grew up with, Ellington, Dexter Gordon, Miles Davis, Stan Getz. George Duke was something different than that. And it was interesting, and I grew up listening to jazz and listening, obviously, to Latin music, Brazilian music. But George had something different that a groove that was different than I had heard before. I mean, I know it sounds a little strange, but for me, I was like, very intrigued by his sense of rhythm, because, rhythm, the way we feel rhythm is culture has so much to do with that, and that's the beauty of rhythm, and he had a sensitivity with rhythm that was very interesting, because not only he had the American thing, he loved the Latin sensitivity. So it was so interesting that he would be so interested in what I had to say, and so it was a very growing experience, and a very, I guess because he loved music so much, and I love music so much. I mean, it was kind of like a love at first sight, because we both love music so much. So it was free and easy connection. But I'm very grateful that I had that opportunity in life to share these moments with him,
Yeah. That's pretty exciting, especially being a young artist, that you get the chance to, be with such a legendary artist. Kind of.
I was in my early 20s, so it was very, I would, react very differently now. Like I got sick, for example. The first session that we were recording live with his band, I was completely sick. And he took me to buy it, one of those things that you breathe in to get the voice back and all that. I was like, and I didn't want to tell him that it was because I was so nervous. But it was a great experience. I mean, I'm very, very happy that happened to me,
Now, you, even as a young artist, you not only attracted these great musicians, but a lot of the community seem to acknowledge how well your performances as a young artist. Kind of give us an idea of some of the kind of things and accomplishments you had, kind of early on.
I mean, my father's a jazz musician, and he was brought to this country by the Ellington Society. So Duke Ellington was dead, but his son heard his arrangements and brought him in. So I grew up, listening to great musicians, and when I came here, I had the opportunity via my father to meet a lot of the Latin jazz players here that in New York and in Brazilian players. And so it was very, I was very lucky to have access to that level of musicianship so early on. But I gotta say that I had it when I was a little kid too, because when I was 6 years old, I loved Count Basie's, you know, I would come back from school and say, Dad, I want to hear this song from the Count Basie band. And my friends were like, what the hell, you know, what is that, you know? And I never understood, like, you know, I mean, I was in another world, you know, and so, you know, I had the opportunity to sing with people, you know, really, really interesting. You know, I did background singing when I started with Marc Anthony, for example, you know, and when he was started, you know, famous already a little bit, you know, when he was famous in the Latin world, not so much in the American world. You know, Celia Cruz, you know, before she died, she did a concert. I was able to sing there. I sang with Eric Benet, for example, for that in that CD, on that CD, which was also very interesting. You know, because it was a song that I wrote. He sang a male part, and I sang the female part, and George arranged the song, and it was so interesting because how, again, this rhythmical and cultural music culture, you know, that comes together when you sing, and we, you know, I was bringing the South American thing, and Eric the North American. I mean, you know, it was so interesting to me that what I was able to bring into the table was embraced, you know, it was not like, it was embraced, and it was liked. It was very, it was a great love experience, you know, in a sense, because music is that, you know, without love there's nothing. But, so, you know, Eric Benet, I opened for the Count Basie band, for example, after all.
Awesome.
Like stuff like that. It was surreal sometimes, you know. And I sang with Rihanna, you know, like in New York. So my music has been very good to me in many ways, you know. And you know, in many ways, I met wonderful, very, very talented people, and you know.
Wow, I mean, you've had such a great musical career, and able to, you know, connect with these, like I said, these great artists.
Yeah, very different artists, because, you know, it's like, it's so different sometimes, and still connecting, you know, via music. So really cool.
You mentioned your father's influence on that.
Yeah.
Kind of doing that. Kind of tell us how you first got introduced, and kind of his role in your development.
How he was important. Well, my father had a quartet, and my father is a saxophone player and clarinet, and he, in Argentina, he was one of the first people that really got jazz really going there. He's very respected there, and so basically, I was used to go to his rehearsals. And I mean, he didn't give me much of the time of the day, my dad, but you know, I was always like, "Whoa, what is this? What is that?" And you know, I would see I had firsthand what it was to be a professional musician. So that was very useful in my later years, because when I started to travel a lot, you know, I saw my dad doing everything everything. So it was a model for me, you know. And my dad loves music so much, and jazz so much. So also that love was passed on, you know, which is the greatest gift, you know, that I could have gotten.
Had you always want to be a professional musician, or is this something that you just?
No, you know, I always wanted to be a musician. You know, I started by playing the guitar. When I showed my dad, you know, look, Dad, you know, look what I'm doing. He said, you should be a guitar player. What are you, a singer? And I was like, no, I want to be a singer. This is just, you know. And so for a while, I was kind of flirting with the idea about guitar. but then it was just a company. Once I discovered the voice, then that was it for me, you know.
So initially, you didn't think your voice was like good enough to be a personal singer?
Singing, but it was more the chords and I was very into, you know, because I got so much into Brazilian music and into the harmony. Brazilian music is so rich harmonically that I was very into that, listening to that richness, you know. And then that kind of guided me towards singing. But it was that mostly, the harmonies that I found in Brazilian music more than jazz. Brazilians have this universe of harmonies that are very interesting, and they were different. And I think I did it also as a way to separate myself from my father, you know, because my father was so jazz, and I just found an angle that was not my dad, but had a little bit of that, you know, the improvisational thing, but within in another kind of structure, which is the Brazilian thing.
Yeah, here we say finding your own lane, right?
Yes, exactly.
which is perfectly fine. You know, we want you to hear your voice. I guess speaking of which, kind of tell us about some of the projects you're doing now. And
3 years ago, I was performing in this club once a month, and the owner of the club said, you know, I'd like to have like a Latin jazz night with a big band. And at the time I was doing with a trio, and I started to write arrangements for bigger ensemble, like saxophone, trumpet, trombone, like a brass section, and, you know, percussion, drums, bass, and piano. And I started slowly, you know, I was a little nervous at first, and I started slowly to write arrangements for the songs, these Latin jazz songs. And then all of a sudden I got really interested in the Ellington book, which was something that I, you know, always heard since I was a little baby. And that my father, you know, kept playing and playing and playing. And I grew up to love so much, you know. And I started to write the arrangements, and, you know, slowly 1 and 2 and 3, and then I got like a book of my own arrangements done in kind of Latin jazz, you know, kind of different. I try to find rhythms that were not songs that had not been done in certain rhythms, and then now I'm releasing that. You know, it's another type of voice that I found. That is not just singing, but it's arranging, because it's just like, and sometimes I write instrumental, you know, music now, you know, I got really into that. And that's something that I like to keep on exploring, you know. I finished this project, which is called Los Dukes.
If it ain't got that swing, don't mean a thing. Don't mean a thing. All you gotta do is sing. Makes no difference if it's sweet or hot.
You know, Los Dukes. It's a Latina tribute to the genius of Duke Ellington, you know, and it's going to come out in sometime in May, you know, not before May 11th, after, unfortunately, because it's not going to be done yet. But I'm very excited about that, you know, that project.
Yeah, that sounds really interesting. I can't wait to.
I'm very happy. It came out really, really well, and this song's done. You know, I picked 8 songs, and I did them in a way that is a rhythm that has not been explored with those songs. I, you know, try to listen and find all the versions that I could find, and I try to do it in a different way, you know.
Wow. Now, do we get a little tease of that on the May 11th here in Atlanta?
Yes, a little bit, not too much, because I don't have to make the big ensemble, you know. It's like I need the saxophones and the drum and the trombone, the trumpets, you know.
Now, you said most of the concert you're going to be doing, you're going to be featuring some music for your first CD. Now, is that a small, what size ensemble was that?
It's going to be a trio with mostly it's going to be more of an intimate setting. As I said, it's not going to be this Latin jazz extravaganza. So it's going to be more of an intimate setting with maybe with a saxophone player. We're looking into getting a couple of surprises for the show. You know.
Awesome. That's it. I can't wait to see you.
Come, please.
So, for those who are considering going to the show, give us an idea of what can we expect once we get there.
Well, it's going to be, my shows are there's a lot of improvisation on my shows, but it's going to be like half of the show is going to be some of the songs from Wanting, like Wanting, Fire of Love, Fantasia, Brasileira, and then the other half is going to be some of the more newer stuff, and some songs, some standards too. You know, some music that I try to find my own voice in those songs, songs that I fell in love with, lately. They're going to be there too. So it's going to be a little bit of a salad, a mixture of things.
All right. Well, salads are good for you, so we're ready.
Yeah, salads are good.
So for those out there who are interested in following you, and I know you said you have a CD that you're going to be releasing very soon.
Yes.
How to keep track of you on social media?
Yes, I'm on Twitter, and I'm not on Facebook since what happened, with the election. So, and but I'm on Twitter, and I'll be letting everybody know. And I have a website so people can know when the CD is going to come out and all that. I wish I had it to bring it to Atlanta, because as I said, it's a very special place for me, Atlanta, and I always loved it there. And I met a lot of great people from there. So I'm very much looking forward to going there again,
Well,
but I'm going without my CDs.
Well, we'll be your Atlanta ambassadors for when you release the CDs then. How about that? Get the word out.
Fingers up.
Well, Gabriela, I appreciate you taking some time with us. Just one more time, just tell us the date when you're going to be coming to Atlanta, and tell us any final words you want to say to the audience.
I'm going to be there May 11th, and just going to be doing a little bit of the past, a little bit of the present, a little bit of the standards. If for the people that liked Wanting, I will be doing some of that. We'll be doing some of this new material and some standards. And plus, please come see me. I'd love to. I'd love to see, people coming and enjoying the music, and that's it. Just looking forward to going there.
All right. Well, on that note, we'd like to thank you for joining us again. I appreciate it, and I look forward to seeing you on May the 11th. Jazz and Jokes.
Great.